As we continue this fact-checking edition of Hannity, there are more layers to this Benghazi cover-up, and with each passing debate, the evidence grows stronger. Now, it seems the president and the vice president, they're not even close to being on the same page. Watch this.
What were you first told about the attack? Why were people talking about protests? When people in the consulate first saw armed men attacking with guns, there were no protesters.
Because
why
that's
did that
exactly
go on for
what
weeks?
we were told by the intelligence community. The intelligence community told us that. We said exactly what the intelligence community told us that they knew. That was the assessment. And as the intelligence community changed their view, we made it clear they changed their view.
The day after the attack, Governor, I stood in the Rose Garden and I told the American people in the world that we were going to find out exactly what happened, that this was an act of terror.
Now, if that's true, Mr. President, then why days later would you again not call it terror when asked by Univision, and then later on The View with Joy Behar? Why, after the debate in private, did you tell Terry Latka, the very man who asked you that question last night, that it took you so long to call it a terror attack because you were still gathering more information? None of this adds up to the truth, President Obama. Joining me now with more, Fox News contributor Liz Cheney. All right, so this is like finger-pointing everywhere. Susan Rice is blaming the intelligence community and General Petraeus and the CIA. But here's what we know. The State Department knew in real time. The intelligence community knew within 24 hours. None of this is adding up in any way, except that this is a major cover-up.
Right. Well, it's a lot easier to keep your story straight, Sean, when you're telling the truth. And clearly they can't keep their story straight because they're not telling the truth to the American people here. You know, either the president was lying last night or the president spent 10 days after he first declared it, according to him, an act of terror, lying to the American people, saying it was caused by a video. But one of those two things has got to be true. And clearly the president and Vice President Biden seem to have been getting different information. It is a mess, and it's a mess because they're trying to cover up the fact that it was a terrorist attack, because if they admit that al-Qaeda is resurgent, that al-Qaeda was involved in attacking our consulate and killing our ambassador, then the president can no longer claim to be this effective national security leader.
Our own Ed Henry reported tonight that the president's stump speech, where he was saying, oh, and al-Qaeda's on its heels and on their last legs, they've taken that out of their speech, out of the stump speech of the president. Now, he didn't attend intel briefings, either before or after. He went campaigning right after this happened. 5 days after, we have, Jay Carney and Ambassador Rice saying that it was spontaneous and it was due to this YouTube video. 9 days later, he's saying the same thing. 14 days later, he's saying the same thing on The View. So now he's saying, well, to this other guy, well, I knew early on, but I couldn't tell the American people.
No, he wants to have it both ways. You know, the other very interesting part of that answer last night, and Jen Rubin pointed this out today on her blog, was the president saying, as soon as I heard, I got on the phone and I told my national security team, these are the three things I want to have happen. Was there not a meeting? Did they not get the National Security Council together? Was he too busy heading out to Nevada for his fundraising that he didn't pull together his national security team and say, get here right now so you can explain to me why we've got an American ambassador who's just been killed by al-Qaeda?
Quote, Chris Wallace asked David Axelrod the question, did he bring together his national security team? Chris, I can assure you that he spoke with all the appropriate people. But that means no. Let me translate that. And when pressed on it, he still gave the same answer. So why do you think that they are obviously in a cover-up mode here? They're obviously lying. The president was caught last night. And what impact do you think it'll have on the campaign?
I think it'll have very, very significant impact. A lot of people say, well, we're focused on the economy, we're focused on jobs. That's true, but I would make 2 points. One is the president's record on national security is at least as bad as his record on the economy and jobs. Secondly, the American people don't appreciate a commander-in-chief who lies to them. And we're now to the point where we've got to be very clear that that's what's happening here. The president is not being honest with the American people, and I think that the voters are not going to think very highly of a man who wants to be reelected, who can't even be counted on to tell them the truth about something as important as a terrorist attack that killed an ambassador
On the
and three
campaign,
other Americans.
You've been through a couple yourself with your dad, more than a couple. You see 51-45 Gallup today. What is your feeling? You think?
You know, I'm feeling good about this, Sean. I think that what we're beginning to see is potentially the beginning of a real wave of movement towards Governor Romney. People realizing he is the man who actually can bring this country back to where we ought to be economically and internationally as well.
All right, Liz Cheney, always good to see you. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks, you too, Sean.
And still to come tonight, Michelle Malkin. But first, Mitt Romney offered the most comprehensive indictment of the president's record to date. We're going to play some of his best moments from last night. Dick Morris, he'll respond, coming up next.